Hi there. Before I begin this video properly, feels like I should do the responsible thing and do a trigger warning. This video is going to cover topics such as sexual harassment and assault and, unwanted sexual attention, and also mental health issues. So if this is going to be something that is going to trigger you or upset you, then you might want to proceed with caution, because we are going to be discussing this. This being the behaviour of John Barrowman, past behaviour, it has to be said, and wording this very carefully, the allegations that 24 women have made against Noel Clarke. Now, before I continue further, let's make this perfectly clear. The stuff that Noel Clarke has been alleged to have done and the behaviour that John Barrowman himself has admitted to is not big, it's not clever, it should not be something people are subjected to at work, and it should never have happened. Let me just state that now before I go any further, because in points it might sound like I'm defending it, and no, I am absolutely not. Neither man, if the allegations are true against Noel Clarke, should have behaved that way. They were in positions of power, being like the main star on director, or whatever position they were in when the allegations were made. No, should never have happened. For those that don't know what I'm actually talking about, around about 2 weeks ago, The Guardian published a piece that at the time it was 20 women had reported behaviour about Noel Clarke, and this ranged from filming an audition naked despite the actress involved being told it wasn't filmed, and then apparently that footage was then distributed, to spreading rumours about people because they turned him down for a date. Later revelations where he got students where he was supposed to be doing a question and answer session that turned into a workshop to remove articles of clothing, through to groping a driver on the Doctor Who set. And John Barrowman, well, this is old news if you've been in the fandom, but he got East Dodger out on a frequent basis, and that's not mega clever either. Let's talk about the trash fire that is the allegations about Noel Clarke first. It turns out some of this was on the Doctor Who set, around about the time that Barrowman was working on the set, so this is kind of a huge issue in Doctor Who fandom at the moment. But I'm going to state this now. I believe the girls and women that have come forward, because when you've got that many people who are making them allegations and they are being able to corroborate it, then yeah, it's not looking good. As I say, this is only alleged because he has denied everything but one incident happening, and he's doing the whole I'm gonna clear my name thing. So I'm being careful about my word choices. As I say, I can't afford to be sued. Um, Men, pay attention right now. None of that's acceptable. Don't do it. I mean, this behaviour then continued onto film sets and on productions that he was working on, either as an actor, a producer, or a director, the scriptwriter. So that put him in a position of power. And for those that are saying, why didn't you come forward at the time? Would you come forward at the time when it's A, powerful man, and B, can ruin your career, and C, people are reluctant to sort of even admit to themselves this is what's happened. It can take time for people to process this and go, oh yeah, that's actually not a good thing. But yeah, putting that aside, John Barrowman's behaviour. He's already apologised for it. He's apologised again for it. When asked about it by The Guardian, he apologised again for it. That should have been that. Now, I think it's Julie. Yeah. Whoever it was, somebody big on the Torchwood set, you know, the powers that be, has admitted that she had to speak to him in 2008 about it because there was a complaint. And yeah, that should have been that. He should have stopped his behaviour then. But the BBC also dropped a bollock, oops, bad phrasing, by not doing an investigation at the time, because that's going to actually come back and bite them, I reckon. But yeah, now for Russell T Davies to say that he wasn't aware of it is also looking dodgy, because, you know, John Barrowman has wrote about it, he's spoken about it, it's in his autobiography, they made a reference to it in The Ballad of Russell and Julie. Fandom were well aware of it. This is not old news. That should have been the end of it, and I was willing to go, you know what, it happened, he's apologised, he's hopefully learned from it. Turned out not so much. Somebody on Twitter has posted a link, and this is John Barrowman himself at a convention saying that I only, like, one of my conditions for working on Arrow was a naked scene with Stephen and Mel, which they granted him. And I mean, what the fuck? Anyways, when an actor can make that demand and they just go, yeah, there you go, have it. But the actor was chained up, so again, not looking great for Barrowman in this context. Stephen Amell looks fantastic. Anyway, back on point. And they made a joke of this, but like, when he was chained up, they should have just been doing dialogue, blah blah blah, professional atmosphere, you know. But no, he decided to twist his nipples instead. I think part of the problem is people are aware that Barrowman has this reputation, but aren't willing to sort of go and tackle him on it. In fact, his co-stars, unlike Noel Clarke's co-stars, Noel Clarke's co-stars, are condemning his behaviour, and rightly so, because, no, bad boy, get over there in the bin, because you're cancelled now. But John Barrowman's co-stars are just like, it was a joke. It was something that he did to keep the energy up and blah blah blah. happened in a normal workplace, we wouldn't be able to use that defence. Like, he'd been out the door, sacked by P45. It just seems like because it's Barrowman, as a fandom, we have been letting him get away with this, and maybe we shouldn't have. His co-stars, you know, those that have been vocal about it, which is, as far as I know at the moment, just Gareth, saying, you know, it was a joke, it was a bit of energy, but he did also have the grace to say, you know what, I was young enough to find it funny and go along with it, but in hindsight it perhaps shouldn't have happened, or words to that effect. I can't remember the exact quote. Here's the other thing I find kind of hinky about this situation though. Why isn't Eve Miles being dragged into this mess? Because she's also admitted in interviews and stuff in the past that she would get the girls out. And yet, crickets. If one person who was already admitted it in the past is getting dragged through the mud, and, you know, rightly or wrongly getting dragged through the mud, I'm going to let you make that judgment for yourself, is getting dragged through the mud for this behaviour, why isn't other people who also admitted it at the time to engaging in this kind of behaviour not being dragged through the mud? The other thing I find kind of weird about the situation, and I'm guessing because John Barrowman was a lead and John Barrowman was working on a children's show when this behaviour first happened on Doctor Who, which, let's face it, is a family friendly show. Touchwood, not so much. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. The press now seem to be hounding John Barrowman. You put his name in Google right now and there's a new article about him every day with relation to this. You put Noel Clarke in and again, very little. If one person is getting dragged through the mud and that person is the person who, how can I put this? It's not the least worst. It's not like, what they both did was wrong, but on terms of wrongness, Noel Clarke was very wrong and John Barrowman was like that. John Barrowman's getting a rough time in the press about it, even though those that have come forward and said that this behaviour happened on the set were like, but you know what, it made me uncomfortable, but I didn't see it in a sexual way. It was just either John being John and it was accepted that was how he was, or it was like a joke that was in bad taste, or, you know, it was something to keep morale going. That's all stuff I've heard and read. He's the one getting dragged through the mud in the press and Noel Clarke has got off with it, in terms of the press, relatively scot-free. Have we not learned anything from like the Caroline Flack affair where she too was dragged through the mud? Yeah, I mean, like, she was facing a court case, so obviously there was a reason to, not like a reason, but you know, there was public interest in that. I don't know, especially since Barrowman himself has admitted that he has had like mental health problems in the past. I'm just concerned this is going to be another thing, and we don't need this to be another thing like Caroline Flack. If one of them's getting dragged through the mud, then they both should be. You know what I'm saying? Um, I've also had fans use the defence, you know, with regards to Barrowman. Nobody's got hurt, nobody's made complaints. Just because nobody's made complaints, again, as I was saying earlier about Noel Clarke, nobody's made complaints, but they might not feel that they're able to make a complaint about it. Not everybody who was involved on set, just because the cast seemed to be okay with it, doesn't mean that the crew was okay with it, and that is something we need to remember. You know, that's just a side point. Another thing is, we are making light of the Barrowman thing as fans, and we maybe shouldn't be. I mean, certain sectors of the fandom are. Another sector of the fandom is just like, he's cancelled, he's trash, he's a sexual predator, blah blah blah. People are going, but it hasn't been reported, the police aren't investigating. The reason why the police can't investigate at the moment is because they haven't received a first party complaint about either man. I know they have received a third party complaint about Noel Clarke, but they can't investigate a third party complaint in the UK, under English law at least. They need an actual witness to come forward and make that complaint before they can investigate in either case. If somebody does, both men could face legal proceedings, like an investigation. With Noel Clarke, that is relatively simple because, you know, I'm not saying simple in terms of, you know, being simple, clear cut. The law is, you know, very clear. You shouldn't have done that. There is a legitimate case to investigate should somebody make the complaint. With the case of Barrowman and flashing, it's a bit more complicated. I'm not a legal expert, I've just googled this, but for it to be considered, you know, a sexual crime, somebody needs to prove that it caused harm or offence. If they can't do that, then it can't be done as under like a sexual crime. So there's just that to bear in mind as well. Anyways, yeah, I think I've said all I wanted to say on this topic for now. Oh no, there's one more thing actually. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and other social media going, does that mean we're not allowed to like the characters anymore? No, it doesn't. You can separate the character from the actor. You can enjoy watching Doctor Who or episodes of Torchwood and enjoy it still, and enjoy the characters and what they did and what they represent to you, because I know especially Captain Jack did help a lot of people come to terms with the sexuality. I guess in the terms of, you know, Mickey Smith, he may, obviously I am not black, he may have been like, for people of that ethnicity, being a role model, because, you know, it's like a representation of them that wasn't really there at the time. So yes, you can enjoy the show and enjoy watching the characters. It's called, because they're characters at the end of the day. You can dislike what the actor's done but still enjoy the show. You can hate what the actor's done and still enjoy the show. So yeah, I just wanted to make that final point. Again, I'm not expecting this, so take what I say with a pinch of salt. This is just my opinion, apart from a quick Google. But yeah, please don't be dicks. Don't take their behaviour as an example of what's okay, because it's not. It never is, and it never will be. And just be kind to each other. Anyway, I've been Ange, and I will see you on the first Sunday of May. June, because we are in May. This is an unscheduled video, but if you've liked what I've had to say, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down, and I'll see you next time. Bye.